perfect. Okay, so I will just dive right in and ask you each to take a minute to introduce yourselves as well. So the purpose of why we're here today and the virtual yet real examines the in-depth and authenticity of digital relationships, highlighting the ways which technology bridges the physical divides um, and emphasizes the evolving nature of genuine human connection in this digital age, which to me, there's so much digital divide around the world. This new world and the metaverse will be able to bring us all together in ways that we've never imagined before, with or without the blockchain. But blockchain is a key component, in my opinion. So we'll get started. Daniela, would you like to jump in? I think we're having some. There we go.
There you go. So hi everyone. Hi Janelle. Very happy to see you here as well. I haven't been in the metaverse for a while. And thank you so much, Jamie, for having me here. I'm Daniela Merlano. I'm a positive psychologist. I've been learning about Web3 for the past, I think, year and a half. And now I'm doing courage training programs for companies, including generative AI images as part of the positive impact of creating a memory for them that allows each individual to understand how courage looks and feels to them. So yeah, very passionate for positive use cases of technology and very happy to be here.
Thank you, Daniela. Nice to see you again too. And I see Elena and Allison are sitting on the same chair, so I'm just going to go with Elena first.
Hi, sorry if I took someone else's chair, but my name is Elena. I'm the CEO and co-founder of NeuroXR. I'm also a neuroscientist, and through NeuroXR, we help developers and creators to better understand user experience and journey through the power of science. It was really good hearing from other panels just how important user experience is and how we can create more engaging, profitable, but also safe digital spaces. And that's exactly what we're doing in NeuroXR.
All right. So first question, since maybe I'll just throw it out there and actually, Daniela, this might be a perfect one for you. How can we ensure the metaverse promotes like an emotional resilience, well-being, especially since it's such a digital world, and the amount of time that we're spending online is also increasing. And as we move into this digital world, we're going to find ourselves more immersed. So how do we find that balance, strike that balance, and promote like emotional resilience and well-being?
Okay, cool. So how I see this after being able to host meditation sessions in the metaverse, to review projects that are doing VR therapy in the metaverse, and my honest belief is that, and after what's happened with the Virtual Pro as well with Apple and now Google Glass, like I feel that it's about the use case. I feel it's about understanding that it's not an escape place, not to promote it as an escape place, but to promote it as a place of enhancing certain specific types of therapies or intentions to protect the social abilities in real life that we do want people to still develop. So I feel that it's a lot about being mindful and careful of exploring this technology with the beauty that it can make, especially when it comes to merging emotions into the space. Our brains don't really understand the difference between imagination or virtual video versus reality. It does still produce emotions, and emotions memory are the most long-lasting emotions that we have, conscious and unconsciously. So I believe that the balance there is just to be very aware of that I can't promote well-being in the metaverse just because it's a trend or it's cool, but because I'm actually understanding the use case that I'm giving to it and how it's going to impact positively the person and the people that is here with me, in which moments is useful to have that person as an avatar, in which moments is useful that person actually see me as a therapist, as a person, as a real person, in the environments that I'm creating there as well. How am I using them for their benefit and for how long especially when it comes to children as well, and like understanding the effects of VR in younger generations. So all of this to say that I feel that it is very powerful because it moves and it touches our neurons in a very specific, strong way, and it helps them reconnect faster because of that strong effect. Therefore, we have to be very, very mindful of the use case and the amount of time and the age, and being aware that it's a tool. It's like it's a tool. I think that's where I would double click on. Let me know if I made sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I quite often talk about the importance of having hybrid worlds. So yes, the idea, and I also talk a lot within our, with all my speaking engagements, especially with the incubator, around centering the tech around the human and not the human around the tech. So what that really means to me is building the world and the lives, the digital world and our digital lives around us, and ensuring that, we're enhancing our lives. And what I mean by enhancing is this digital world is here to enable us and to help us globalize and help us make global connections and global, whether it's business connections or community connections, whatever it might be, but it's here to enable us and help us, in my personal opinion, and to serve as a hybrid world. So totally agree. It shouldn't be taking over our world, this digital world. It should be there to enable us to do things like this. For example, here we are in an international conference. None of us had to leave our home, right? So I totally agree with you. It makes a lot of sense. And thank you for that, Danielle. Daniela, is anyone else, can anyone else, go ahead, Elena, go ahead. You want to weigh in on this? Go ahead. And then I'll ask the next question to you.
Very quickly, because I think Daniela did cover a lot of my points, and especially we see that the main demographic of virtual reality, the metaverse users, are young adults and children. I think early testing is really necessary to really ensure that the environments that we're creating, the companies that we're working with, are not releasing any environments that are causing any harmful effects. We've seen a lot of research now showing increasing health repercussions of media overuse and virtual reality and more immersive media. And I think it's really important to work on that mental health and physical health while also ensuring things like profitability and mass user adoption.
I absolutely agree. And thank you for that, Elena. And now we're moving on to the next question, which kind of ties in nicely. So as the world is rapidly digitizing, how do you envision our future with regards to genuine human connections and intimacy in the metaverse? Like, how are we going to be able to bridge those gaps in a digital world and create connections that are just as real as we have in person? Elena, that was for you. Do you want me to, basically it's how are we going to be able to envision the future of genuine human connections and intimacy in the metaverse, especially with the work that you do with, neuroscience? How are we going to be able to bridge that digital divide and bring us closer as humans?
I mean, that is like the $1 million question for the internet and kind of technology as a whole. I mean, obviously, obviously, it would be absolutely amazing to see an increasing of healthy technology and internet usage, not just in the metaverse, but as a whole. There's so much information, so much content around us. It would be nice to see us and kind of the end user utilize technology as a personal addition to their lives rather than something that takes over everything. Whether that's ever going to happen, I don't know. I really hope it will, but I have seen a massive shift on how people perceive the digital world, and I definitely see an increase in real social connection, and we've seen immersive media enhance it a lot. We've seen it with people with disabilities who can't socialize with people in the physical world and then do it in a virtual space. But I think the main issue is that there is a massive gap between new technologies, especially the ones that are growing so quickly, things like AI and now virtual reality, and us humans. And I think by bridging the gap and educating the wider population on the positives of tech in general, and also allow them to have a voice in how these environments are created and how technology is created, I think there will definitely be an increase in technology and an increase in human connection at the end.
I absolutely, Elena. And, I actually have three use cases that speak to exactly what you're talking about. First being within Venus Ventures is a digital incubator. It's a global but digital, so online in the metaverse and also in chat. But, for example, I have an artist in Venus Ventures who is in a wheelchair and unfortunately can't attend a lot of these art exhibits or show his art. So he's been basically a traditional artist, painter that actually converted into an NFT artist, and he lists his stuff as NFTs and sells it globally. But he had only come into the metaverse through Venus Ventures, and I think that was a very eye-opening experience for him, how he can actually make human connections on a global scale, talk about his art. He was blown away by the fact that his avatar is actually standing up and walking around because he is unfortunately, in a wheelchair and cannot move. So, him being able to actually interact with other human beings on a global scale in a metaverse and show his art and sell his art on a blockchain too, because of the interoperability, I think was life-changing for him. So that's just, one example. But the other quick examples are, we talk about the meditation room. We've at Venus Ventures created a meditation room to speak to exactly what you're talking about, Elena. How can we use this technology? Here we have this incredible technology that really we see technology as built for us, but really the people, the beneficiaries of technology are those who are marginalized and disabled in many ways, because it enables them to have access to things that they generally can't have access to. So I see a lot of, beauty in the digital world and how it can enable those who haven't had the ability to do things that a lot of us do. Would love your thoughts on that too, as we're trying to get other mics up, but would love your thoughts on that too, Elena, because I know you speak pretty openly about, also being a disabled founder. So would love some perspective on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting experience because myself, I've seen with when the metaverse boom started, definitely a lot of reluctance, and I'm definitely maybe not the biggest user in virtual reality, even though that's kind of my day-to-day job. But we've seen it with COVID. It forced us to have that digital connection, but maintain a really genuine connection between humans. And now, gladly, we've seen it continue. And I think that's one message that virtual reality, immersive media can really use, is to not um, kind of isolate ourselves and put ourselves just in an immersive media, but utilize it to enhance the connections that we already have with other people.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And Danielle, I'm just going to hand this question over to you. We're still in our early stages in the metaverse. And so how can we ensure from the very beginning, we embed inclusivity and ensure that it's at the core and ensure it's catering to different peoples of different backgrounds and abilities and experiences, similar to what Elena had just responded to?
Yeah. Okay. So something that I really, really enjoyed about when I started speaking in metaverse events and meeting people as avatars and all of that, it really made me realize that two things. One is how impactful it is, the power of narrative in real life versus the flexibility that allows us into connecting with other people with lesser biases and lesser prejudgment in a digital space. Meaning that it allows everyone in their individuality to be open to just being themselves, to be open to feel lesser seen into the vulnerable perspective and more wanting to include a different narrative of who do I really want to be, and therefore giving the chance to be that person there indistinct of the physical space, of the culture around them, of the noise that they may have, being part of that space. Just like a simple example, it's like, I don't know if some of you have had that experience, but when you are an immigrant and you move from your country to another country and you allow yourself a couple of years there, you get to understand other versions of yourself in a more genuine way because you reduce the culture, familiar, friends, impact on who you and how are you defining yourself. You kind of have a little bit of a white canvas there. And that's the same option that you get to have when you start meeting new people and and interacting in a digital space. So that's one thing. And the second thing is, I feel it's very relevant also from the other place around, which means as a group, we start to meet others without really creating any prejudgments or biases from where we're from, in our home countries, in the religious beliefs that we may get, in our sexual orientation, even how we look. So that gives us the space to actually open up a new way of relating ourselves from more empathy, because we have lesser noise, because we can't visually see or perceive that information. And that is really, really powerful, because then, in my perspective, diversity and inclusion becomes a more than a nice to have, and something and something like, in the explicit, something implicit. It starts to happen. And if we feel that in the digital spaces, we may translate that in a more strong way because of our emotional memory into the real life space as well. I do believe that, so that coming from interactions in the digital space, from a company perspective, it's the same responsibility, meaning that in distinct of where we're having our meetings, in distinct of where we're speaking, we're building companies with people in real life. And there is where strategy, there is where human resources, the leadership team has to be very aware of exactly what are the actions that they're taking to 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 be mindful in explicit action more than in theory of their diversity and inclusion methodologies, on giving space for worldwide teams indistinct of the physical space, or like the topic of the company, based on talent, based on knowledge, based on skills of capacity of learning, of growth mindset and others. Well, depends on the company, but it's exactly the same responsibility. It just allows us to build teams in a more world open way. As you were saying, we're here in international conference, each one from our homes, and we don't know where that is. And that thing, I think it's a gift. So yeah, it's my perspective.
Absolutely, Daniela. The ease and accessibility, the efficiencies in the digital world alone. I mean, I think that's where the digital world can really enable us as humans, from a both a metaverse, blockchain, and AR, XR, VR, but also, within an environment where we can actually, to your point, be ourselves on a global scale and connect on a global scale, but also ensure that we're doing things, to your point, also with building connective and efficient teams. And I think that is probably a missing link for us right now, as humans. I don't think we have enough efficiencies, and I think we can definitely use more. And that's what I think these digital worlds will provide for us. So,
Yeah,
so
just kind of
Daniela, Lena, go for it.
quick thought for mine. I think the media has really put all of the issues with the metaverse, with VR, with technology in general, on the technology itself, not how people are using it. And I think that's a really important point to think about. I think obviously it is goal is to educate everyone on the positive of technology and the digital space, and also ensure that they're safe and accessible. But at the end of the day, it is up to everyone on how they want to utilize the internet and new technology. But it is our responsibility to make them safer at the end of the day.
Absolutely. We each have a role to play. Daniela?
See, I agree with what Elena is saying, and also it's a friendly reminder. Remember that sometimes problems, bad news, mistakes are sell more in the media, but the reality is that there's a lot of positive use cases out there waiting to be seen and to be heard, just to place a leadership through example for others that are curious about this technology to do good with it. So feel free to do your own research, as they say in the old days, and look for those positive use cases, because you'll get a lot of inspiration of people actually wanting to do good in the world, and being mindful of how to manage the risks of it and still going for positive impact. So it's our responsibility to be the leaders on that, and also to inform ourselves into placing that hope in the world.
Perfect. And that is a perfect segue into our next panel. Jamie, over to you. Thank you very much, everybody. It was a pleasure. And I look forward to seeing you at the next panel.